Just think, if winter comes, can spring be far behind? Beneath the deepest snows, the secret of a rose is merely that it knows you must believe in spring. Just as a tree is sure its leaves will reappear, it knows its emptiness is just a time of year. The frozen mountain dreams of April's melting streams, how crystal clear it seems you must believe in spring. You must believe in love and trust it's on its way. Just as the sleeping rose awaits the kiss of May, so in a world of snow, of things that come and go, where what you think you know you can't be certain of, you must believe in spring and love. Must believe in love and trust it's on its way. Just as the sleeping rose awaits the kiss of May, of things that come and go, where what you think you know you can't be certain of. You must believe in spring and love.
Good morning, and welcome to everyone with us today, everyone who is on the live stream. It is such a joy to be here. My name is Charlotte Cramer. I am a seminary student and a friend of Vanessa's. Reverend Vanessa was my, is that better? Reverend Vanessa was the minister at the church, the UU church I grew up in New Jersey. And I also was an intern here 5 years ago. So just for a summer. So this is a full circle, beautiful thing to be here and standing here instead of standing in the office and typing away at a computer. So thank you for having me. I'm so grateful. And welcome to our musicians. Welcome and thank you to our musicians, Asher and Larry. Thank you so much for all of your hard work. And Sam King, our worship associate today. And thank you to our live stream team and our building staff and the flowers and everything that goes into making this beautiful space beautiful. So let's begin by lighting our blue candle in honor of all of you at home, bringing your spirit and presence into this space and this time we share together. Welcome. So, for our hymn today, we're going to try something a little different. So I invite you, if you're willing and able to rise, we are going to practice imperfection, because today's sermon is about perfection. So I am going to start singing. The words, the hymn are in your orders of service. The tune is relatively simple, but I am an inconsistent singer. So we might sound a little weird, but I encourage you to project your voices and to plant your feet firmly in the ground and to sing your heart out and to sing with your heart. And it's okay if we sound a little funny. It'll be beautiful no matter what. So are you ready? Yeah? Please prepare me to be a sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true. With thanksgiving, I'll be a living sanctuary for you. Please prepare me to be a sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true. With thanksgiving, I'll be your living sanctuary for you. Thank you. That was beautiful. I think that was perfect.
And now please join me in our unison chalice lighting. The words are printed in your order of service. We light this chalice for the light of truth, the warmth of love, and the fire of commitment. We light this symbol of our faith as we gather together. And now, a few announcements. If this is your first time watching, thank you for joining us. You can follow along in the order of service, which is available in the description of this video and is emailed to everyone who receives our newsletter, which you can get by signing up to our connections form, which is on the welcome table or through a link in the order of service and video description. The order of service also lists upcoming events and links to opportunities to connect. To our live stream guests, if you have any issues, Joe Chapeau is monitoring our chat to help you out. Please note in the order of service, chances to deepen your spiritual practices, engage in deeper study, and also put your values into practice through a variety of opportunities here at UUSF, including a couple that are happening right after the service today. So please do check them out. I want to call your attention especially to a few things, but first I'd like to invite Julia Wald up to talk about the auction.
Thanks, Sam. And I'm here with Debbie Wu.
Good morning, everyone. Julia and I are here to talk about the auction. Julia, do you know it's been over 2 years since we've had a live in-person church auction?
And the good news is October 16th, after church, 12:30. October 16th, write it down, remember it, October 16th. We're having a party. It's going to be a live auction. It's going to be dancing and food. Thomas is coming to grill. You wouldn't want to miss that. We're going to have games. We haven't seen the children very much for a long time. The children will be here. We especially want the children. Before the live auction on October 16th, got the date, October 16th? Before the live auction, there's a silent auction. You can bid online. I like to bid at midnight. You might like to bid at a more reasonable hour. If you bid at midnight, you get the last bid in for the day. Kind of fun. If you bid 6 a.m., maybe you get the first bid for the day. But in any case, bid. And then after the silent auction, there is the party on October 16th. Debbie, tell us what we need to do to get ready for this event.
Did anybody miss the date? Oh, we didn't tell you the theme. The theme of this year's event is homecoming, right? Which is pretty appropriate because we are coming back to our home. So buy tickets. You can buy tickets online. There's a button on the website. We have a table before and after church where we'll be happy to sell you tickets. You can also donate to the live or silent auction. So lots of people have things that would be fun to offer. Parties, for example, or if you have some particular service that you'd like to offer, or if you make things, all of those things would be very welcome. So come see us after, email me. I think the information is in the bulletin as well. And, of course, volunteer, right? This event is all about us, right, as a community. So you can help sell tickets, you can help make things, you can help set up, you can help at the event, you can help clean up. I'm sure we have plenty of tasks for everyone to be involved. So we hope to see you on the 16th. Come see us after church as well.
Thank you.
I think I might have missed what the date was. Can everybody remind me of what it was? October 16th, yeah. Cool. One other announcement. If you look in the back of your order of service, you'll see that Sunday school registration is open. Please register your family, and also please let Reverend Laura Shenham know if you're able to volunteer. All of the information is listed in the order of service in terms of links to click and all of that. And lastly, I also wanted to share an update on Leland Jones. As many of you know, Leland, who's been a sexton at the church for 20 years, suffered a significant stroke about 10 days ago. And he's still in the ICU, but as of Thursday when Reverend Vanessa visited, he was alert and trying to communicate. We told him that all of us here were keeping him in our thoughts and in our prayers and ready to support him in his recovery. If you would like to visit him in the hospital or as he recovers, please send an email to the chaplains. Thank you. And with that, let's take a few moments to greet one another. If you are not comfortable shaking hands or hugging or whatever, then that is totally okay. Just make sure to make that known. And otherwise, please stand up and be friendly. Okay, everybody, find your ways back to the pews. I know this was a short time. And now, please join me in our spoken covenant and sung doxology. The words are printed in your order of service. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its prayer. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in freedom, and to help one another.
Dwell below the skies, let songs of hope and faith arise. Let peace, goodwill on earth be sung through every land, by every tongue. De todos bajo el gran sol, sur esperanza, fe, amor, verán
invite you now to settle into your bodies. If you feel comfortable, to close your eyes and begin to slow your breath. As you breathe, begin to let go. Let go of all of your plans for this week. As you breathe, let go of your anxieties, of the things you need to do and fix and change. Find a place to rest. Rest. In this moment, there is absolutely nothing to do. You are here, and that is it. Take some time to rest in this silence. You are exactly where you need to be right now.
Like a circle in a spiral, like a wheel within a wheel, never ending or beginning on an ever spinning reel. Like a snowball down a mountain or a carnival balloon. Like a carousel that's turning, running rings around the moon. Like a clock whose hands are sweeping past the minutes of its face. And the world is like an apple whirling silently in space. Like the circles that you find in the windmills of your mind. Like a tunnel that you follow to a tunnel of its own. Down a hollow to a cavern where the sun has never shone. Like a door that keeps revolving in a half-forgotten dream. Or the ripples from a pebble someone tosses in a stream. Like a clock whose hands are sweeping past the minutes of its face. And the world is like an apple whirling silently in space. Like the circles that you find in the windmills of your mind. Keys that jangle in your pocket, words that jangle in your hand. Why did summer go so quickly? Was it something that you said? Lovers walk along the shore and leave their footprints in the sand. Is the sound of distant drumming just the fingers of your hand? Pictures hanging in the hallway and the fragments of a song. Half-remembered names and faces, but to whom do they belong? When you knew that it was over, you were suddenly aware that the autumn leaves were turning to the color of their hair. Like a circle in a spiral, like a wheel within a wheel, never ending or beginning on an ever-spinning reel. As the images unwind, like the circles that you find in the windmills of your mind.
Have you ever watched a TV show or a movie with someone, and then after it's over, they just want to talk about it, wanting to connect with each other, relate over a shared piece of culture? How obnoxious is that, am I right? I mean, sure, it's easy when you saw something perfect, but we can't always watch Ted Lasso or Avatar: The Last Airbender, and then they really enjoy it, and they ask, "Oh, how did you like it?" Well, actually, I thought that Dune was kind of slow, and splitting it into two parts was going to ruin the juxtaposition at the center of the story. Or, yeah, the action in Invincible was fun, but geez, I could have written better dialogue. How do you deal with it when something is imperfect? You either go with shallow platitudes, or you criticize and you yuck somebody's yum. There's no winning. And when the thing that's imperfect is that a friend has bad taste in movies, surely it's not me, then that's not the end of the world. We can just live and let live, agree to disagree, move on. But what about when it's bigger? When someone is mishandling an important responsibility? Or what about when the person who's imperfect is me? When I was in college, I started a nonprofit to help computer science students use their skills for social change. We would put on events and help connect them to other nonprofits. It was a great mission. We had some real impact. It was a good experience for me. The first time that I had really started something on my own, and it gave me a chance to experiment and to try new things, figure out what would work best. But I was never really good at sharing the responsibility. Sure, we had a team, I delegated some things, but the core stuff, the important stuff, I had plenty of good excuses. I was willing to put in the work. I didn't want to force it on anybody else. I had the most experience. But a lot of it was also that I knew I would do a good job, and I didn't trust that other folks would come back with something good enough, something perfect. And the result was that it wasn't sustainable. I got burned out, I stopped enjoying it, I didn't put in the work necessary to make it grow as much as it could have, and when I eventually did hand things off to somebody else, I didn't do a very good job. The organization is still around, still doing some good work, but when I wasn't willing to trust others and forgive them if they made some mistakes, I held everything back. In my job now, I'm a manager, and I do a little bit better, more by necessity than anything else. It's hard to be a control freak about everybody's work and micromanage everything when there just aren't enough hours in the day. And that means being willing to sit down with someone and help when they need help, and sit back when they don't. Coach somebody, tell them that it's okay if they make mistakes, or if they're taking on more than they can handle, that we're a team and we can help carry the load. And sometimes I still do make mistakes, but one of the benefits of making those mistakes, one of the benefits of failing to delegate or yucking somebody's yum when I criticize too harshly, is that if you're mentoring someone and they have those same challenges, at least you have some good stories to tell. And with that, our offering for the works and ministries of this congregation will be given and gratefully received. Thank you.
Where do you start? How do you separate the present from the past? How do you deal with all the things you thought would last that didn't last? With bits of memories scattered here and there, I look around and don't know where to start. Which books are yours? Which tapes and dreams belong to you, and which are mine? Our lives are tangled like the branches of a vine that intertwine. So many habits that we'll have to break, and yesterdays we'll have to take apart. One day there'll be a song or something in the air again to catch me by surprise, and you'll be there again, a moment in what might have been. Where do you start? Do you allow yourself a little time to cry? Or do you close your eyes and kiss it all goodbye? I guess you try. And though I don't know where and don't know when I'll find myself in love again, I promise there will always be a little place no one will see, a tiny part deep in my heart that stays in love with you.
Spirit Walker by Nancy Wood. Spirit walker with long legs poking out of rain clouds along the mesa tops. Listen to our prayers for understanding. Spirit walker with strong arms embracing the wounded, we ask forgiveness for our greed. Spirit walker with footsteps echoing like promises across the aching land. Give fire and ice to purify us. Spirit walker with tears that fall as snow and rain, heal our forests and our rivers, our homes and the hearts of all creatures. Spirit walker, heed the cry of every living thing and bathe the earth in harmony.
The French pointillist painter Georges Seurat is in turmoil, torn between his human desire for companionship and his artistic pursuit of perfection. Yes, she looks for me. Good. Let her look for me to tell me why she left me, as I always knew she would. I had thought she understood. They have never understood, and no reason that they should. But if anybody would, finishing the hat. How you have to finish the hat. How you wish the rest of the world from a window while you finish the hat. Mapping out a sky. What you feel like planning a sky. What you feel on voices that come through the window. Go until they distance and die, until there's nothing but sky. And how you're always turning back too late from the grass or the stick or the dog or the sigh. How the kind of woman willing to wait's not the kind that you want to find waiting to return you to the night. Dizzy from the height, coming from the hat, studying the hat, entering the world of the hat, reaching through the world of the hat like a window, back to this one from that, studying a face, stepping back to look at a face, leaves a little space in the way like a window, but to see, it's the only way to see. And when the woman that you wanted goes, you can say to yourself, well, I give what I give. But the woman who won't wait for you knows that however you live, there's a part of you always standing by, mapping out the sky. Finishing a hat, starting on a hat, finishing a hat. Look, I made a hat. Where there never was a hat.
Growing up, I had a sense of disconnection from the world. It made itself known in my life through depression, sadness, dissociation, and fear. As time moved on and I began to live more into my truth, into myself, I reflected back on my past experiences as a child and saw that this pain that I would so often feel truly was the result of a radical disconnect, a schism between me and a way of being in the world that was real, authentic, true. Because of this experience, I have spent the majority of my spiritual journey dedicated to looking into the nature of this disconnect and why it occurs. Through my studies, I found a resounding truth that there is a legacy of American disconnection that lives and breathes in all of our bodies, something that has been taught to us from a very young age. What is it exactly? It wasn't until I read this James Baldwin quote that my beliefs, ideas, and theories began to solidify. James Baldwin says, quote, "I have always been struck in America by an emotional poverty so bottomless and a terror of human life, of human touch so deep that virtually no American appears able to achieve any viable, organic connection between his public stance and his private life. This failure of the private life has always had the most devastating effect on American public conduct and black-white relations." End quote. This quote truly helped me understand that the brokenness and pain we are witnessing in our world today directly comes from our lack of a healthy personal and interpersonal connection. This feeling of disconnect I had as a child was the legacy of American disconnection intertwining itself into my private life, debilitating my sense of self and influencing how I interacted with the world. Baldwin reminds us that to have a nourishing private life, we must be fully in our humanness, letting go of this terror of depth, truth, vulnerability, realness. And if we let go of this terror, then something radical could happen to us and the world. Where would we be if we were more vulnerable, more true to ourselves? Where would we be if we were more in tune with interconnection and the beauty of life? I think that our world would look remarkably different than how it does now. So I began to search for what the building blocks of American disconnection were. What created this insidious thing? What are its beliefs, values, and personality traits that have snuck into my life? I finally landed on several foundational characteristics that are most common in American living, things that have made this disconnection into a powerful puppet master. These are perfection, stagnancy, performance, and fear of conflict. Today, I want to talk specifically about perfectionism, its dangers to our society, and the antidote I use when it appears in my internal world. Perfectionism was the first characteristic that I worked with on my spiritual journey of reconnection, and one of the most powerful forces I faced. I hope that today you may find some relatedness to my experience of it, and in turn find further healing in any disconnect you may feel in your life. So perfectionism, I'm curious, how many people would call themselves a perfectionist or say that perfection has influenced their life in any way? You can raise your hand. Yeah, majority of the people. Some of you escaped. Good job. So if you were to Google perfectionism, you will get many results, books, articles. It is a phenomenon that is widely spoken about in the modern world today, in modern psychology and mindfulness circles. Perfectionism, according to the internet, is when an individual strives to meet impossibly high expectations for themselves, pushing past their limit without rest or healthy self-encouragement of any kind. It is when someone is highly critical of themselves and others to the point of unfairness. Perfectionism causes defensiveness in the face of feedback, personal offensiveness when criticized. There's a fear of failure, fear of mistakes and disapproval, an overemphasis on the I should haves of any situation. Perfection, according to many, is the antithesis to success and a healthy life. After doing my research on the standard understandings of perfectionism, I had no difficulty connecting these characteristics to American life today. When I look at the educational system we are putting our kids through, let alone the one I myself have gone through, I see impossibly high expectations and pressure to be high performing. When I look at the corporate workforce and culture, I see a fast-paced, relentless world where mistakes or rest are not an option. And then, of course, there is the social media phenomenon that has gripped generations of young folks in the world today who are now constantly peppered with photos and videos of people living their perfect lives. In preparation for this sermon, I was thinking a lot about what perfection means to me. The first image that always comes to my mind is the classic ads from the 50s of housewives with their carefully manicured clothes and hair, cooking food for their working husbands with briefcases and their cute 2 kids in pigtails and overalls. It's interesting because I was never brought up with these images in my childhood. I've probably only seen them a few times in school, yet it is an image that is seared into my brain. And when I think of the words, a perfect life. And as much as I see myself as radical and progressive, it is also the image I see when I think of the words, a perfect woman. This is the white American dream, an ideal that has been built in the foundation of this country. It is more insidious in our culture than we think, living in our expectations, dreams, and beliefs. There may have been radical cultural transformations since the 50s, but we are still collectively influenced by the hope for American enlightenment, perfection. When I think about what it is like to be a human being, I am reminded of chaos. Pure, lively, unrestricted chaos. And this American dream of a perfect family and perfect house is the opposite of chaos. It is control. I think that this is what perfection is. a societal and personal attempt at controlling the pure pandemonium of what it means to be a human being. When we strive for perfection, we are building walls around the rawness of our full selves. This breeds shame, but simultaneously ignores it, making us terrified of our own deepest selves. You see, we are flawed failures, mistake makers, trippers, and tripping hazards, whirling around in our lives trying to figure out what to do with ourselves, even if we have done it the day before and the day before. Perfection is non-existent, an illusion of control that can crumble at any moment. Death, illness, traffic, a screaming 4-year-old, a stubbed toe, all of these are amongst the infinite amount of beautifully chaotic occurrences that crash and burn any thought we may have that we are in control. Human life should be a balance between pattern and chaos, a dance between the two. We should be taught at a young age to surrender to this flow, to yield to the unwieldiness of our spirits and the turbulence of our lives. Instead, the world we live in teaches perfection and control. It sneaks its dogma into parenting and relationships and communities because we have never been taught anything different. Perfection is both a deeply personal trait, one that is unique to each of us and our identities, and yet, oddly enough, a reoccurring blueprint from human to human, particularly in America. So, you are looking at someone who lives and breathes a very strong perfectionist drive. For me, it comes in the form of get better. Get better. These are the words that have echoed in my mind for as long as I can remember. Get better. These are the words that underlie every decision I made and continue to make in pursuit of religious leadership, personal goals, and daily living. Get better. A constant stream of, you need to fix this. You need to stop doing this. You need to get over this. You need to be better. Why? Why do I need to get better? So that I can actually do some good in this world, so I can truly be a good minister and chaplain, so I can be successful and respected and loved. Am I even worthy of love if I don't get better? Perhaps if I build this wall around the things I don't quite like about myself, maybe, just maybe, no one will notice. Maybe I can fool everyone. If I strive to get better, maybe one day I'll become better. I've spent my entire life wanting to be better at things. My biggest drive has always been towards becoming a minister, a servant of God, a teacher, and a healer. Ministry is my passion, my purpose, my truth. I have pursued my spirituality and relationship with the divine wholeheartedly, throwing myself into uncomfortable situations of spiritual rigor so that I could be prepared for this work. This drive for perfection in ministry has been both a blessing and a curse. On one hand, it has given me the opportunity to work hard, challenge myself, and pursue something I love with the full force of a fiery comet hurtling through space. But on the other hand, these expectations for myself have removed me from opportunities of vulnerability and authenticity. And it has promoted mentalities of self-hatred, restlessness, and disappointment, rather than self-love, patience, and encouragement. When I am wrapped up in being this image of a perfect minister, then I am in defense mode, trying to prevent people from coming in too close, trying to convince myself that I am the image I want myself to be. There's another aspect of this drive towards perfection that I have found in my life. For a very long time, I tried to be the perfect friend, daughter, and woman. Why? Because I wanted to be loved. And there was a part of me, and there still is a part of me that believed that if I didn't act, look, and sound a certain way, then I would not be loved. If I pretended like I was fine all the time and always listened and gave and was sweet and nice, then people would love me. But what kind of love is it that I am receiving if I am approaching others from a place of guarded, performed perfection? Let's take a deep breath together and pause on this thought, that the American ideal of perfection is a currency for love and worthiness, and a guard against the truth and chaos of human living. It is interesting to me because I know that and truly hope that while my situation is unique to me, it also very much is not. I'm sure that all of you sitting here today have had similar feelings of trying to perfect yourself in some way. We live in a society that has a deep, strong current of cultural perfectionism, so it is hard to avoid feeling like we are not constantly failing at something. So what are we to do? Should we fight the perfection, screaming affirmations of worthiness at ourselves and our mirrors every morning? Should we commit to failure, insistent on all anarchy against the perfectionist complex in our society? Should we try to love every single inch of ourselves? I would say all of these could have some usefulness at certain points in our journey with perfection, but I believe that what we need is something more powerful, something that is organic. Because we are not just working against perfection, but its loyal soldiers, shame and fear. This is no walk in the park. I want to make that clear. Perfection is an incredibly difficult, profoundly powerful lived experience that can do far more damage to the well-being of our private lives than we think. And I believe that the answer, the mightiest force that we can utilize, is in forgiveness. I forgive myself for not being perfect. Instead of trying to overcome my fears and insecurities or focus on boosting my self-confidence or trying to love every single aspect of myself, which can be a daunting task, I'm realizing now that I must first try to forgive myself. Because forgiveness is transformation. Transformation. Not fixing or overcoming or defeating. When something transforms, it does not change into something else. It evolves, it coalesces organically into a finer form of its own self. Forgiveness is the transformation of pain and hurt, of high expectations and a constant feeling of failure, into a steady, bodily knowing of ease and presence. It doesn't mean that the pain goes away and that I am magically fixed, unafraid, and confident and perfect. It means that I see these imperfections, these things that feel so heavy in my body, and I choose to let them be as they are without overwhelming me. I choose to move forward and live a life where my fears and insecurities are not made worse by any anger I might feel towards them. To do this is to allow for a softening, a release of tension. We are no longer angry at the imperfections, but rather in presence with them. We do not need to be in love with all of our imperfections. That is never a requirement. But if we seek to witness them, to witness ourselves in fullness and in truth, without illusions of control, then we release the power of perfection and invite in this new energy of transformation. Forgiving gives us the opportunity to see the growth and profound power in the flaws of our beings, the beauty inherent within us. Imperfection can be challenging, transforming, a radical energy that moves us to change, grow, and heal. By forgiving ourselves, we are empowering the imperfections to become co-conspirators in the expression of our brightest, fullest selves. So, I live with 2 dogs, and you're going to see where this is going in a second, but I'm going to drink some water. One of them is named Bixby, and she is a purebred border collie. And she's an incredibly special dog. She's full of personality and exuberance and this tender, tender love. And she has taught me something incredibly important about perfection. So sometimes I take Bixby for a walk, and I let her off leash because she's very smart. She doesn't go too far from me. And I also let her off leash because she likes to play with sticks. But these are not really sticks, actually. They're branches. She likes branches that are 4-5 times as big as her body. Huge, huge branches. So she's a big dog. She's medium-sized, around 40 pounds, but some of these branches that she tries to pick up are way, way too big for her. I'll look over my shoulder, and there she is, hauling this giant branch, trying to bring it back with her to the house. And she's like switching angles and trying to gnaw off little bits and dragging it along and just really trying to accommodate her goal and trying so hard. And she doesn't give up. And, I don't speak dog, but it's clear to me that Bixby does not have a single drop of perfectionism in her body. She's not thinking to herself, I wish I was stronger. Why are we even doing this? You should be able to drag this branch back to the house. It's kind of unacceptable that you're not doing that right now. I guarantee that if she was saying these things in that gorgeous little head of hers, this dog would not be going at this branch like it's the, end of the world. She would be transfixed by her own self-regrets and disappointments. She would just be staring at the branch. But eventually, Bixby can't actually drag this giant branch. And when it becomes clear that that's not going to happen, she abandons the branch with the same ease that she approached it. She lets it go. And she doesn't walk the rest of the way home with her head hung low in shame and disappointment in herself. She just moves on to the next branch, one that is a little smaller that she can bring home with her. I know that we're not all dogs, but there's something to learn from Bixby. Whenever I see her do this, I deeply feel like I am in the presence of a holy lesson. In forgiving ourselves, we are actively at peace with our limitations. Would we prefer to drag a 10-foot branch for 2 miles? Absolutely, I would love to do that. But sometimes that simply cannot happen. Sometimes we have to find a 6-foot branch. If we can forgive ourselves and our mistakes, limitations, flaws, then we can pivot, learn our lesson, and move forward without holding on to shame and anger. Then we can cultivate a sense of trust in our true natures. So how can perfectionism and forgiving ourselves be applied to the external world beyond our private lives? By seeing and forgiving the imperfections in ourselves, we are learning to see and forgive the imperfections that exist within the shared fabric of humanity, that which is in each human. To be actively forgiving with others is to uphold the belief in the inherent worth and dignity of every person. This does not mean that we take a step back and let it go or ignore the injustices of others. Nor does it mean that we are in love with everyone. It means that we acknowledge the existence of something and choose to not allow it to affect our lives in a negative way. It means that we choose to act and live and transform despite the burdens and hardships of this world. If we are capable of forgiving, inclusive of all the ridiculousness that is our humanhood, then we have achieved a kind of love that burns away fear and collapses walls and fights for goodness and righteousness. A kind of love that births a private life rich in meaning. I want to end on this thought of disconnection and the words of James Baldwin. He says that our lack of a healthy private life has created a terror of human living that affects how we treat others. So then I wonder, what impact could the transformation of perfection within ourselves have on the culture we live in? How could finding forgiveness be a powerful tool against disconnect? Would we see a radical change in our politics, in the social world we live in? Would James Baldwin look at the world and see something different if we learned radical forgiveness? I truly think so. So at this moment, I call upon your beautiful, full selves. I invite in the monsters and the shames and the mistakes of past, present, and future. I welcome them with loving arms because they are you, an essential aspect of you, and they must be forgiven. Let us reclaim the richness of our private lives by embracing ourselves in our wholeness.
by forgiving ourselves and saying to the world, I may be flawed, but I am still powerful. I am still me. And I will love more fiercely than ever before. Amen.
Please rise with me for our final hymn. We're going to do this imperfection thing again. The words are printed in your orders of service. And I invite you to turn this into a meditation. Breathe it in, let it out. Breathe it in, let it go. Breathe it in, let it out. Breathe it in, let it go. Breathe it in, let it out. Breathe it in, let it go. Breathe it in, let it out. Breathe it in, let it go. Please remain standing for our benediction. My prayer for you today is that you dance, whirl, and spin with your whole self, that you toss your head back in outrageously loud laughter, proud of who you are, proud to take up space, proud to be seen and heard in all of who you are. May you forgive and release and love and live a life where you fill each moment to the brim. And now in our comings and our goings, may the light of love shine upon us, out from within us, be gracious unto us and bring us peace. For this is the day we are given. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. Amen. Blessed be. Thank you.
Rows and flows of angel hair and ice cream castles in the air and feather canyons everywhere. I've looked at clouds that way, but now they only block the sun. They rain and snow on everyone. So many things I would have done, but clouds got in my way. I've looked at clouds from both sides now, from up and down, and still somehow it's cloud illusions I recall. I really don't know clouds at all. Moons and Junes and Ferris wheels, the dizzy dancing way you feel as every fairy tale comes real. I've looked at love that way, but now Now it's just another show. You leave them laughing when you go. And if you care, don't let them know. Don't give yourself away. I've looked at love from both sides now, from give and take, and still somehow it's love's illusions I recall. I really don't know love at all. Tears and fears and feeling proud to say I love you right out loud. Dreams and schemes and circus clowns, I've looked at life that way. But now old friends are acting strange. They shake their heads, they say I've changed. Well, something's lost, but something's gained in living every day. I've looked at life from both sides now, from win and lose, and still somehow it's life's illusions I recall. I really don't know life. I've looked at life from both sides now, from up and down, and still somehow it's life's illusions I recall. I really don't know life at all.
Lift up your hands.